Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. My name is Kris, and as you've probably guessed already by the sound of my voice, no Gimli tonight. He's away, so I will be your host. I'm sorry. Right, let's get on with the show. So tonight we have four lovely gentlemen joining me this evening. I say lovely, more on that later. My guests tonight are, first up, it's the man whose ranting today has turned rather bizarrely to number plates. Don't ask. It's the ABW button monkey and FIFA junkie. It's Danny the GFP. You right, Danny?
No, I've been making my own bum gravy all afternoon, and I've done a sick. For the first time since 1994, I've puked.
God,
it was mainly corn.
Should we just call this a bum Wonderland podcast every week and just get it off our chest?
Could do.
Other than that, are you well?
No.
Good. Moving on. So, next up, it's the man with more contacts than a high street optician. He's Arsenal's best mate and ours. It's Geoff Arsenal. Good evening, Geoff.
Good evening, Kris. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while. Been a while since I've had a chat on the podcast with you. I was expecting Gimli. What's he got? The old knobby style still, I suppose, isn't he?
It's that horrible cheese you get just underneath the lip, and it's built up, and unfortunately.
Got to be a cream for that, isn't there, surely?
I think cream is the problem.
Moving on.
Right, next up. The rumours are gathering and Twitter is on edge. The news is that he could be the man to replace Zayn in One Direction. But until that happens, he remains committed to giving me abuse. It's the Welshman with the passion. It's Mr. Jason Davies. You right, Jace?
Shmai Bay, you right?
Yes. Can you confirm or deny these rumours about One Direction?
I want to take over Top Gear, actually.
That actually would suit you better, to be fair.
Well, I was thinking, on the first show, we could get Jeremy Clarkson on, and I can hit him, man, and see what happens. I'd love to do that.
The sad part is, you're probably going to need to get a whole team together, because I reckon the other two are going to walk as well, so...
Oh, do you? But what a... Oh, no, I'm not going to get into that. I just think they're all bell ends.
Fair enough. Okay. And finally... So those that tune into our ABW radio show on a regular basis will be quite familiar with this chap. He's a metal-loving, bearded Londoner with a soft spot for European football. I call him Carpenter Fanboy. But making his full debut tonight for ABW, it's Mr. John Welsh. Good evening, Squire.
Good evening, Kris.
Are you well, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm not sure about the Carpenter Fanboy, though. That sounds a bit Operation U-Tree to me, but there you go.
I'm not going to comment on that. How's the beard? Is it looking well?
Oh, it's always great, mate. Always fully combed and oiled.
Represented, love it. Must get myself some beard oil. Anyway, moving on. So, good evening to you all. Let's start at the top then. Let's go over to our resident Mr. GFP for scores on the doors, and also, I believe you have some transfer news for us, Danny.
Don't get too excited. Right, very good win for the ladies, because women's football is now on its arse now that money has come into it. So Millwall Lionesses, who used to be one of the greatest teams, we went to their place, spanked them 7-0 in the FA Cup 5th round. Daniel Carter got a hat-trick. And then also Man City went to Doncaster, I think. Don't shoot me if I got this wrong, but I think they went to Doncaster Bells, or Bells went to Man City, and they beat them 10-0. Because they deliberately relegated the Doncaster Bells for no reason other than to get Man City into the Premier League, or some story, or Liverpool, or something like that. So 4 teams have money, and the rest of them are all going to be ruined now. And we're not one of the ones with money. It's not good.
Happy times.
Under 18s Premier League, Stoke City 3, Arsenal 4, Tyrell Robinson got a couple, Aaron Iwamya got 1, and we are now 11th, 25 points behind the leaders Chelsea.
25?
Yes, that's only a handful of wins. I think the season's nearly over now. At least they're not going to. At least they can't get relegated.
Bloody good job by the sound of it.
Right, and then a couple of our youth players, a couple of youths have gone out on loan. Chuppa Appcom, and if anybody saw Arsenal.com recently, they actually spelled Appcom correctly. They spelt it APKOM, and we all know that's the proper way of spelling it. And it got a retweet, and I thought, yes, I've seen it for years. He's gone on loan to Nottingham Forest in the Championship for the rest of the season, who were doing shit under Stuart Pearce. They've now got Super Ducky Friedman, who I've spoke to his missus at a Barnet game once, and she's very nice, and he's there and he'll do wonders. And then Semi Ajayi has joined Cardiff on loan for the rest of the season, a very promising centre-back, who I think might have been on the bench for a couple of Champions League games in the...
He was.
Yeah, I thought so. There you go. So that's it. I've got all the international bits, or some international bits, but we're going to save that for later, aren't we?
Yes, yeah, we'll
Okay.
touch on that a little bit later on. Yeah,
Lovely.
absolutely. Brief bit of pirate update for you. Here we go. Get comfortable, David.
Oh, dear.
My favourite part of the week.
I'm afraid so. No, it was 3-0 defeat last week. Unfortunately, Keane Colts Blues.
Splitters.
Yeah, they were third in the league. They weren't even that good, which is quite frustrating. But
They weren't that good.
They weren't great. They weren't great. We had
don't
a couple
don't feed the troll, for fuck's sake, Chris.
No,
Don't say they weren't that good. Say they were fucking brilliant.
well,
Chris.
they're third in the league, so they.
Chris,
Yes, Geoff.
can you tell me your for and against columns, please?
I'd
How
rather
long have
not.
you got, Geoff?
This could take all night, G.
I'd rather not, if you don't mind. But all I will say is we're a team in transition. That works, doesn't it?
They've been scored on more than Madonna.
We'll go that far.
I know it.
No, we did all right, but we had a couple of goalkeeping errors and a penalty. So one of them was a last-minute goal. We were pushing at 2-0 down. So that's life. That's life. We move on. But we've got 4 games left this season. Starting, we got Smeaton Holmes at home on Sunday in a cup, supplementary cup. And then we've got 3 league games left. One of them is a midweek game. So in a couple of weeks' time, you'll get double pirate news. So you can laugh twice, Jace.
Is that one on telly?
Yeah, ITV4.
Who are you playing midweek?
We're playing not this week midweek coming, but the midweek afterwards. We've got Friary reserves.
I'm not sure who I laugh at most, the Pirates or Tottenham. You just don't know.
Oh, that's harsh, Joe.
That is harsh.
Hey, look, okay. When somebody tells me, yeah, we lost 7-2, but we were the better team, that's it. You know?
Had to be there, Jace. Had to be there.
What was it the other day? Lost 5-0. It was all the referee's fault. Oh, he's rubbish.
Don't get me started on that referee again.
I see the mighty Tamar View finally broke the minus 100 goal difference.
Yes, they did, yeah.
Genius.
Conceded a lot of goals. But
does their manager have a podcast and come on every week and say we were robbed?
No, it doesn't get abuse either. Lucky bastard. Anyway,
haven't you got a bit of an announcement about something that you said people could win?
I'll do that at the end.
Oh, you do that at the end, then, me old fruit.
I'll tease that.
You slut.
It's coming. It's coming. Anyone that follows our Twitter account or my Instagram will know it's coming.
I know what it is, and I'm excited.
I know. You could even enter.
No, I don't want to win. It wouldn't fit me.
No.
I'm not good with shoes.
Moving on. Anywho, so we've got a game this weekend, so let's see how that goes, and I'll look forward to the abuse again next week, no doubt. But no, we're going to win this weekend. They're beatable. We lost 2-1 and 2-0 to this lot before, so hoping for a good one. Anywho, moving on. So let's get on with Arsenal news then.
You promise?
Yeah, promise. We had just the one game since we've last all had a chat, which was our 2-1 victory over Newcastle United. Danny, let's start with you. Give us a few stats for the game and your thoughts on the victory.
Well, I was just saying to Jason before we got going that I don't really remember much about the game, so I went and watched it again on Arsenal Player, and what a shitty site that is. Actually, I'm just going to read these out from Soccer Way, and then I thought, no, because they never update their stats properly, so I'm going to go and do it properly. I'm just scrolling down to whoscored.com, and I won't even edit this bit out, so don't worry. Okay, here we go, because usually Soccer Way get it all wrong. Offsides, 3 for them, 4 for us. Fouls, 11-7 to them. Corners, 9-4 for them. Throw-ins, we don't care about. Dribbles, we don't care about. Tackles, 26-32 in our favour. Pass success rate, 75 to them, 77 for us. And the important one was possession. Yet again, we were losing the possession. 51% to them, 49% to us. Well, I suppose you could figure the second part of that out yourself, couldn't you? Unless you had that American news programme that doing 51 for them and 59 for us. Yeah, so it's when I was listening to the game in bed, and I thought, did you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I was listening to the game in bed because I had a bit of a paddy attack because you said you couldn't do the radio show, and I went, all right, I'll get up and I'll do it. And so I come in the sitting room and I go and put on this lovely Stream TV box, and it doesn't fucking work, does it? So I had no idea what had gone on in the game. I couldn't see the games. I ended up watching the last quarter of an hour on a shitty stream, And I thought, when I was in bed and we scored those 2 quick goals, I thought, here we go, it's going to be another slobber knocker, it's going to be another 6 or 7-0. Giroud's going to get all 6 or 7 goals. But it didn't happen like that, did it? Giroud was, I think everybody ran out of steam. I was watching it back earlier and I was saying to Jason, fucking hell, Giroud did a through ball over the entire Newcastle defence for Ramsey to run on, and then Ramsey missed it. And then with Giroud's 2 goals, and I'm just looking here, he got a 9.1, he got man of the match, he got 2 goals. It was absolutely outstanding, and it just shows games like that what he can do. But I just wish that he'd be able to bring that up to do that against the real top teams, which you never know, he might still do, but he is getting on a little bit.
Yeah, more on Giroud a little bit later on. So stolen my segue there.
Oh God, just delete it, forget I said it. But I thought Welbeck's been given an 8.3, and I don't think Welbeck was that brilliant. I still want more goals from Welbeck. More, I think when he panics a little bit, he's got a touch of the Theos when he gets in front of goal, but I think he'll pull through that because I'd much rather see him up front and rely on him for goals than I would for Theo.
Fair enough. Geoff, we'll come to you. Obviously, it's an away trip. It's Newcastle. The cliche is it's never an easy place to go, or whatever that saying is. But for the first half, we pretty much controlled it. Were you either surprised or worried when we didn't dominate the chances that we had? I mean, really, we should have been 4 up, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should have definitely gone in maybe 3 or 4. I think. But you know what? I mean, we had the bit of a hangover from that highly emotional and physical game in Monaco on the Tuesday or Wednesday, was it? I should know. I went out there.
Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday it was. And I mean, we just hit a brick wall in the second half, didn't we? It was amazing. But you know what, the lads, it's great that they was resilient enough to get the 3 points. It's always a difficult game. It's all right. See, they only seem to struggle against, the sides around them, Newcastle. When you're playing a team like Arsenal, them smaller teams, when they play a team like Arsenal or United, you don't need getting up for it. So they're always going to be up for it. And you could tell in that second half, they were just, we was out on our feet, wasn't we? And they just had a little bit more legs than us. But the boys done really, really well when we got over the line. It's a very, very important win. 6 on the bounce now, I think we are. Which is terrific. Played 15, won 13, lost 2 games. Now the two games we lost were Southampton away and Spurs are away. 2 very, very tricky games. So we're on a fantastic run at the minute, and it's a shame that the league wasn't another 5 games more, because I think we'd have a go and push for the Premier League title. Yeah, I don't know what you think, John.
Yeah, it was a weird game. I mean, I was just happy getting 3 points. That's all that really matters this time of the season. But yeah, it should have been 4, 5. I would have thought half time. And then as soon as Newcastle scored second half, they just they looked like, oh crap. Actually, we should all be fucking knackered from midweek, with the Monaco game. They just dropped. But even after we conceded the goal, I don't think I wasn't worried that they were going to score. They had two decent chances that Ospina saved. Other than that, for all the ball they had, they were just slinging it in the box and nothing was really happening. So decent defensive display, except for the goal we did concede. Other than that, it was just a get back, come back from Europe, away game, get the job done,
Fair shout there, John. Jace, I know you've got something you want to bring up, which I'll give you the platform to do now. We were 2-0 up, we were cruising. They obviously got the goal back in the game, and just for a period of time, particularly towards the end of the game, the last 20 or so, it seemed like the legs were going. Geoff touched on it. The sort of demands of Monaco were there, and there was a little bit of panic. Just talk us through your thoughts on that period of time.
There was a lot of panic. I'm torn at the moment. Okay, I look at it, and as G said, we've had a tough game midweek. Okay. We've won 2-0, but that's going to play us on us on the weekend. We control the game first half. They've got to show, Newcastle have to show some resilience second half. They've been booed by their own fans. They've been accused of already having their flip-flops, being on the beach. Season's over for them because they can't go down, etc. They're going to come back into it. But it doesn't matter who we seem to play in the back 4. It doesn't matter how impressive Coughlin has been coming into the side in that holding role. We still seem to panic. It's an important 3 points, but, we have to do something about the way we panic at times defending. The goal, I'm not sure if I'm being harsh. I'm not sure how I feel about it. First of all, defending. Why have you got Coughlin and Cazorla in the same area? Why? These are, you've got a senior pro in Cazorla who's been playing really well recently. Him and Coughlin, they don't stop the pass coming across. The midfielder who's supposed to be on the right-hand side, whether it's Ramsey or I don't know who it's supposed to be, they're not there marking Sissoko coming in. Ospina can see Sissoko coming from a mile out, yet still gets caught flat-footed. And, the shots just rolled in very close to him. He's made 2 good saves later on, but if you're a goalkeeper at the Arsenal, you should be making those saves. I'm great 3 points, but I think it's still question marks over our defending and our keeper. We've been used to having Lehmann, Seaman, Lukic was a good keeper, Wilson, Pat Jennings, the list goes on. Szczesny's shown he's not going to be that guy. I just think we need to get somebody in to challenge Ospina. Ospina, he deserves time, but he's not convinced me. But as a whole, we need to stop this panic in business, because we press that self-destruct button, and that really, really worries me.
Fair enough.
Can I just come in on that, Chris? I think
go for it, John.
Jace was saying about Cazorla and Coughlin, there did seem to be, although first half we did have most of the ball and we should have scored more goals, there were still quite a few mistakes in the team as well. I just think Newcastle just weren't at it at all. But there seemed to be a real confusion over Ramsey and Cazorla and which one of them was sort of playing next to Coughlin, if you like, as was with Ozil out of the team. And there seemed to be a confusion over which one of them should be dropping to help Coughlin whenever he's defending. And you notice it that Cazorla, when Ozil's in the team, he knows where he is, he knows where he's got to play, he knows he's got to get back and help, And then you see when Ramsey comes in, he knows he's got to do the same thing. He's playing next to Coughlin. When you get Cazorla and Ramsey, it doesn't quite meld right. I'm not saying they can't play together, but I think there was just, because there haven't been that consistency, and Ramsey's been out of the side for a while, they don't seem to have that same understanding.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and I'll definitely come on to. We've got a similar thing to discuss in a minute about that that particular part of the pitch and the competition for it. Geoff, I want to ask you with regards to our goalkeepers. Obviously, we've not had you on for a little while. This debate continues to rage. You've got some who are in the Szczesny camp, some in the Ospina camp, some in the sell everybody, burn the stadium down and buy 8 more keepers camp. What's your views on sort of Ospina currently as a number 1, and do you have a particular favourite of the two, or are you in favour of replacing both?
I think they're 6 to 1, half a dozen the other, to be honest with you. And in my opinion of it is, you don't change a winning team. You don't change a goalkeeper who's not injured. All goalkeepers are going to make mistakes. Every single goalkeeper in the league. I mean, you've seen it the other week from the Chelsea goalkeeper. What's his name again? Courtois. He more or less slung one in his net. They make mistakes. You can't help it. It's that type of position where generally, if you make a ricket, it's going to cost you a goal at this level. Yeah. Ospina, I think he's been fine. And like I say, they're going to make mistakes, but he's been doing okay. He's been doing fine, and we're on this fantastic run at the moment. I don't really see what the problem is. You're only really going to get the same out of Szczesny anyway, and the competition is great. You might look for another goalkeeper, another top-class goalkeeper, but that top-class goalkeeper, whoever it may be, if you look through his record, he's going to have the same, similar type of mistakes that our goalkeepers are making anyway. Sometimes it's best to, continue with the keepers you got, let them develop them the best way you can, and especially Szczesny, he's still very, very young. The goalkeepers don't really mature till they're 28, 29 years old. And they need the game time, don't they? So I'd stick with them. I don't think there's a lot better out there. That's my opinion on it, Chris.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind you. Anyone knows that. Well, most people know I'm quite firmly in the Ospina camp, so I won't go over old ground there. But and also, John, I'm pretty sure you can confirm for me that even the great Manuel Neuer drops some bollocks once in a while, doesn't he? After last weekend.
Oh yeah, that was marvellous. I was cheering on the mighty Gladbach. I couldn't believe it. We needed the win to get back into the top 3 in the Bundesliga, and we got to play Bayern Munich. Oh, I thought, no, we're going to get battered about 6-0. And then flick the game on. We're 1-0 up already. See the replay. Oh, Neuer's made a right ricket. And then second goal does the same thing. Should have saved it. We could have won that game 4-0. He had an absolute mare that day.
They were horrors, weren't they? They were
really
absolute horrors.
And it just goes to show
Absolutely
that,
lovely.
now he is maybe the top of the tree, for goalkeeping at the moment. I don't think there's any questioning that. They do make rickets every now and again. It's a little bit of concentration on something. It's difficult, isn't it?
I agree with you there. I mean, you can't expect perfection from any sort of keeper. We saw Seaman drop a few, but I don't know, boys. I'm not sold on Ospina, and I just think I agree with Szczesny being young, and he's a talented shot stopper, but he's got to perform now. He's in the team now. It seems to me that nobody's earned that goalkeeping spot, if you know what I mean. Nobody's come in and really been magnificent and earned it. Everybody's had the spot since Almunia through other people's mistakes. Do you know what I mean? So somebody's dropped a wicket and then we've replaced them. Nobody's come in and said, this spot is mine. I'm going to be magnificent. I'm going to be the man who you can rely on. And maybe I'm being harsh, but I think we have to judge them harshly, if you know what I mean.
It's all about...
I think the age thing's overplayed a little bit, to be honest. I mean, you look in other leagues, you look in the Bundesliga, the average age of German goalkeepers is really, really low. And if they don't perform, that's it. They get a better keeper. You've got to be ruthless.
You've got to take into consideration as well. It is all about the form of your defence in front of you, especially the centre-halves. If they're playing well, I mean, a good goalkeeper, any of them goalkeepers that have won the league, they'll tell you straight away. It's all about them two centre halves and the two fullbacks and maybe the holding midfield player. They've done a great job, so the goalkeeper's job has been made easier anyway.
Jeff,
would you say? Sorry. Would you say we'd do better or be in a better league position if we had David De Gea in goal?
I don't know, not really. I mean, I've seen he's okay when the shots are directly at him, but if they're to the side of him a little bit, I've seen them go in. I mean, he got the one at the weekend, one of them Liverpool. Was it Liverpool? Went inside when he's on his near post. It was ridiculous. You've got to be stopping them if you're a top class goalkeeper.
Gee, what are your thoughts? I mean, on the way we panic at times, because you thought after the Man City game, right? We've got a bit about us. We've settled into a nice partner defending here. And yet, against Newcastle, I know we've had a tough midweek game, but we panicked. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
I'll tell you what I think it's to do with, right? Our game is all about passing and moving, right? And if one goes with the other, and once we hit that brick wall on 55 minutes and our legs went, right, the boys weren't making the runs, so the passes couldn't have been made. And I just think we had that period where we really was camped in our half for the second. We've still had a few breakaways. We could have scored a couple in the second half, But again, it's that where we played that pass and move game. If the runs are not being made, it's very difficult to get that free flowing football that we play. And I think that's what the problem was. So they got to a stage where they thought, well, fuck it, let's have it. Attack against defence, make sure we got everybody behind the ball, nice and solid, compact, and just get in front of the ball.
I think we missed Ozil in that game, just to sort of keep the ball ticking over. Where you can hold the ball and hold players off, and then just and if take a bit of pressure off, hold the ball up, and then make the easy back pass to someone who's a bit more open, just to calm things down a bit.
But John, according to British newspapers, Ozil was crap. He didn't contribute at all on Saturday.
Do you know what made me chuckle? Last night I got a tweet from oh Jesus, I'm gonna have to look it up. But I went to watch a local grassroots game in the league in Plymouth, and it was the regional cup semi-final. And I got a tweet from it's actually Tom Agron Arsenal, who's been on once or twice before on a radio show. I think he did a post-match game for us, and he sent me a tweet saying I bet Ozil was anonymous again. It made me chuckle, and it just reminded me of these newspaper comments about this anonymity. Oh, I can't say that word.
Anonymity.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I liked him being blamed for the One Direction for the geezer from One Direction leaving as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't he wear the captain's armband for Germany last night?
Yeah, second half.
Yes, yeah.
I can't remember who it was who was captain at the start, but he took over. Yeah, he was superb last night.
He's terribly. He's terrible. Captain of the World Cup winning side. Terrible.
I think as well, just to draw a line very briefly under the goalkeepers, because we have done it to death. I think the only thing that in Ospina that you would say is that he's quite unorthodox, which the English / British / UK journalists generally they don't tend to like somebody that does things a bit differently because they're so used to standard.
He don't kick it very far, does he? That always worries me a little bit.
But if you look at Forster, at Southampton,
I like him. I must admit.
I do like Fraser Forster. Yeah.
Oh, for me, guys, he's player of the season. For the impact he's had on that side, he's been magnificent. And we saw it at Celtic against Barcelona and so forth. The Barcelona fans calling him the wall and what have you. If we'd have gone and spent a few extra quid, we could have had that.
Is he really better than what we've got, though, Jay?
I think he is.
That's open to debate, I would say.
See, this is the thing. I don't think Szczesny's that bad a keeper. I think he's actually better than Ospina. I think Szczesny's problem is all in his head.
Yeah, but that's the problem. His head's gone, okay? His head's are so far up his arse he can't see daylight, okay? You look at his and the comments his father's making. His father was an international goalkeeper. The kid is an arrogant git. Okay, I'm sorry, but he is, okay? And if you want to, I'm all for people being arrogant, guys, but you back it up with performance. And unfortunately, Szczesny hasn't. And to think that he can go into the showers and have a fag.
Yeah. Well, it's arrogance, isn't it? It's arrogance to the highest degree. Disrespect as well. He might have been more awake.
But what you're saying about it is there's few and far between a top quality goalkeeper out there, and I don't think it's very difficult that they're on their own really, and I think Szczesny's a really.
I think some of it's got to come down to coaching as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, goalkeeper coach has been a long-running debate, isn't it?
Boys, there are no doubt external influences on a situation of goalkeeper, no doubt, okay? But, we all want... We all may have different opinions on the way to get there, but we all want what's best for the Arsenal. I just think, we need two quality keepers for sure. But how long can you stick with Szczesny?
Yeah, well, that's the. I think we'll find out in the summer because it's clear if the manager doesn't think that he's good enough.
I think that sort of applies to a few players at the club right now.
God, yeah, absolutely. Let's move on from goalkeepers because I'm sure people are bored of it. I want to talk handsome Frenchman. But not in that way. I want to talk Ollie Giroud. Now, we are going to do a special. I say special. We're going to do a segment which our very own Dom has done some extremely hard work on with regards to strikers, goal rates, goal returns, etc. And I believe we're going to be doing that next week. But Danny, you're sitting there very quietly, so I'm going to pick on you. I made the statement in the group last week, and I think a few people are starting to get their head around it, that, in my opinion, Olivier Giroud is one of the very best in world football at what he does. And when I say in world football what he does, I mean what he does for Arsenal, what he does in our system, how he leads our line, and the little flicks and sort of nod-ons, as well as his goal return, is up there with the best. I don't think that's debatable anymore. What's your view with regards to Olivier? And there's this debate: can we win stuff with him? Can we not? You're a fan, aren't you?
Yeah, but when you say he's up there with the best, I think that's the confusing issue, because you say, "Oh, fancy he scored." Yeah, when you compare, what other players play in that position?
Yeah.
There's so few to pick from. So when you say he's one of the best in the world, then people automatically think, well, hold on, no, he isn't. Ronaldo and Messi, they're both strikers, they're better. And if no, it's not the same thing, is it? He's a completely different player. And you watch most players that play up front for a team, once they start hitting 31, 32, their careers are grinding to a halt. As Giroud doesn't rely on pace, he can be playing in that position up to 34, 35. Maybe not necessarily for us, but whatever club he goes to after us, he is going to be outstanding for them, because he'll probably end up going back to Spain, to France, and to one of his old teams. I mean, you've got no idea about that. But this season, from his 19 games, 13 Premier League goals. I mean, that's almost a goal a game. That's not about those 19. I bet he didn't start all of those 19, did he? No, he probably didn't. So that's nigh on a goal a game from someone who is. I heard someone say the other day that there's some Premier League striker and he's been absolutely fantastic. I think it might be an Aguero. or someone like that, and they were saying that he's got the same number. Giroud's got the same number of goals as this player, and Giroud's been out for 3 months, but yet everyone raves on about how good this player was. He's so good, I can't remember who it was, but it's
Costa probably or self.
No,
I think that was
Aguero. It was Aguero.
Was it Aguero?
Yeah, it was definitely Aguero. Yeah. I mean, the stats on that, I think it was a Squawker comparison.
Yeah.
You put him in with all the other guys. He's up the top with a lot of them, mate. Honestly.
So why doesn't he get the recognition he deserves?
Well, he will do. I think he will do. I think if I can butt in, I think Ollie Giroud has made a sensational improvement at Arsenal since he's been here. When he first came, he was like the pretty boy, and he wasn't really ready for the Premiership. The centre halves are all over you all the time, and you don't really get any time on the ball. But since he's settled in, and he's got a hell of a lot of confidence now, he's settled in. He's much more aggressive, and once you get that aggression as a centre forward, people defence, they know that they're in for a tough game. It makes his game a lot easier, and I just think that honestly he's been sensational this season for Arsenal, and there is not many better, like you said, Kris. There's not many for game by game and the minutes on the pitch. And for what he's done for Arsenal since he's been back from injury, there's not many players out there that could do a better job. I really, really mean it. I think he's been sensational for Arsenal.
Yeah, I agree. Jace, come to you. I think the other thing that Giroud sort of has against him, if you like, almost. I think Julien Laurent said this the other day. He said he's French and he's not very and he's good looking. And he's a bit unorthodox, therefore he's not fashionable. Whereas you look at the pacey, quick, lightning strikers, they get all the credit. What's your views on Olivier?
Well, when I first started doing the podcast last year, you had he was moaning a lot. Okay, he was on the pitch. His attitude at times seemed to be petulant. And you always felt he could do more. He was more talented than that. He needed to man up a bit and do it. His drop in form came about when he got caught with his pants around his ankles, night before a match, twice. It obviously had an effect on him. People say we ran him into the ground. Nonsense. I don't buy that for 1 second. His drop in form came because he had problems at home. And that's as simple as that. This season, he was unlucky with injury at the beginning of the season at the Everton game. He's come back. He still showed a little sign of petulance here and there. But to be fair, he's really had a go this season, isn't he? He's backing his talent. He's showing us what he can do. There's 2 goals on Saturday. The second one, he's holding Williamson off with brute strength. I want it more than you. Brilliant. Exactly what we've always wanted to see from him. The first goal, he's in the right position to stick his leg out and get in the end of it. He's a talented boy. Like Danny said, he's not got pace. He's not blessed with it. Not going to miss it. But I just see a change in attitude within this season where he wants to prove himself. He wants to prove how good he is. I mean, France playing at the moment, Benzema up front. I'd pick Ollie Giroud. I wouldn't go with Benzema ahead of him. I think he's been great. I think we do need to bring somebody in to challenge him because I think he might like the challenge at the moment. I think he's just up for everything. There's a positive aura about him. His goal return is excellent. And he's putting himself about the park like we always knew he could do. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really impressed with him. His understanding with Ramsey and some of the other players is fantastic. His one-touch stuff. We all go back to the cup final last year. We don't win that cup final without the layoff from Ollie Giroud. No. When people say, can we win stuff with him? We already have.
Yeah. We
already have. And I just think... we've had a horrendous beginning of the season with injuries. It was terrible.
Sorry,
Geoff.
guys. When he first came, he was a little bit sheepish around the apparently he was a little bit sheepish around the training ground. This is Arsenal. It's a massive club. Coming from Montpellier, which is, it's not the most famous and biggest club in the world, is it? I mean, Arsenal are, they're up there in one of the world's, biggest teams, etc., etc. And I think he was a little bit overawed by it. But what's happened now is he's gained that little bit. He's been here. He's got on well with the lads, and now he's settled down. He's gaining that confidence, and I think what I'm told is he feels he belongs at this quality now, at this level. And once you get that little bit of confidence, you start believing in yourself.
Yeah.
That affects your game, and you can see that on the pitch. You know, he's not too scared now to just hold the ball up and have a couple of 2 or 3 different. Whereas before he was always snatching at things and he was just passing it off as quick as he could. He was hiding a little bit, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, you look at him, JK. I think you're exactly right. I think he's showing this game. I think the way against Newcastle, that's a game where he'd have been bullied out of it at times in the past. Not anymore. Not anymore. The guy is, he's just holding his own, amongst high-level competition. And, some of the goals he scored, the Man City goal in the Charity Shield, the goal against United, he's hitting some screamers as well, isn't he?
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask John as well. Excuse me. John, obviously you're much like me, except not quite as sad. You watch a lot of European football, as do I. I know you wouldn't be caught watching the Austrian league, I know, but we
only because I ain't got the channel, Chris.
No, fair point. We obviously see a lot of examples of different types of strikers in different types of leagues, and obviously from the very good to the very, very, very bad. That I thought that particularly the second goal against Newcastle, where he didn't even have to leave the ground, that reminded me of sort of a throwback, an Alan Shearer almost type, where it's just pure desire to win a ball, and that's something that I think he's picked up from on the continent. If you look at the more physical leagues, particularly the French league is quite a physical league. Do you think that, like Geoff said, he's made strides to become an even better player since he's got used to Premier League football? And do you honestly think that we could upgrade from him? Do you really think there's anyone better at what he does for us?
I don't think there's necessarily anyone better actually who does what he does for us in our system, which is why I think a lot of people, like Danny said earlier, will get confused when you said he's one of the best in the world at what he does. The Shearer goal, like that second one, that was very Alan Shearer. And I think the best thing you could ever say about Giroud is that if you look at his stats and the clubs he's been at, he's got better every single season. He's always improved. There's very few players who do what he can do. I mean, you look at maybe Mandzukic when he was at Bayern Munich, who had great stats there. But probably of all the players I've ever seen, the closest I can think of that's anything like him is Luca Toni.
Yep.
Who he obviously had his dip in form and he's come back now. He's like 37, isn't he? At Verona, I think it is. But he's just got that power and that ability. And I mean, some of the passes and the vision that he's got, the things he does with the ball, if that's Neymar or Messi, all the media, they're all creaming over it. But because it's Giroud and he's just this big lump up front and he doesn't run very quick and he don't do dribble past players and nutmegs and things like that, he's not going to be spoken about in the same way. So I don't think there's a problem at all with getting another striker, because I think it's always nice to have a different option. I think some people were maybe hoping that Welbeck will be that. I don't know about that. Maybe a smaller, quicker sort of player just to give you something else. But yeah, I honestly don't think there's many around, if any at all, that can play the way he does with his back to goal and the understanding he's got. It's no coincidence that he's got better since Ozil's been at the club and Sanchez, because you play with better players, you're going to improve.
Yeah, well said. Perfectly well said. We'll move on to another sort of area I just want to cover, and again, much during the Newcastle game, something came to light for me, and I thought, I wonder about that. We saw Aaron Ramsey return to the starting lineup, and Jace, I'll come to you firstly on this one. Aaron's return obviously is a benefit, and he certainly looks like he's starting to come back to the Aaron Ramsey you remember from last season. My question to you is, do you think that it will be between Aaron Ramsey and the very soon to return Jack Wilshere for that spot in that central midfield? And if you don't, who would you prefer?
I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, Cazorla can play there. Mm-hmm. It all depends what type of game you want to play. Jack's going to need time to get his match fitness back. There are not a lot of games left. Whoever, if people are coming back from injury at the moment, they've got to prove themselves very quickly. The thing with Rambo is he gets you goals. He's got a couple since he's been back from injury. Saturday was a tough day at the office, second half of the team. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. If you look at the running, the Liverpool home game and the United away game are massive for us. They're massive. We've got to have a goal threat on the pitch. Got to. Chelsea, if we can grab 3 points there, it would be magnificent. I know I said ours, but we need to start beating these big teams and really proving our pedigree to kick on. Jack Wilshere's obviously going to be in the frame, but Jack has a lot to prove. As does Ramsey. In all fairness, and I think Cazorla does as well. Cazorla's goal return from open play is poor. He needs to up it. For such a magnificent player, for such a talented guy, he has to improve that side of his game. Myself and Danny were talking before the pod. Welbeck, not enough goals. Why aren't these guys staying behind doing the David Beckham, Johnny Wilkinson thing and practicing that aspect of their game for 2 hours after training? Because we should be doing better. We should be doing better in front of goal. It's something we're going to have to go at. But for that position, it's going to be between Cazorla, Ramsey and Wilshere. Can you afford to leave somebody, a very talented footballer that Wilshere is? Can you afford to just chuck him back in? I don't know, but we are going to have the Burnley game, etc. The Reading semi-final. No doubt he'll get his chance, but I think the goal threat that Ramsey gives you might win out. In my opinion, but who knows? Arsene Wenger is in charge of the team, not me, thankfully.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And Geoff, draw a line under this one as well for me. Do you think we're getting glimpses of the Aaron Ramsey we remember last season? I know it's unfair really because he's played in a lot of different positions and a lot of different roles this season, whereas last year it was a pretty consistent run as a attacking midfielder, if you like. But do you think the glimpses are there of the return of the Ramsey of last year?
Yeah, I think that recent little break has done him a world of good because he seems to have come back a little bit stronger. He's a little bit fitter, and also he's come back with a different mindset. He's very confident, as if because he was in a bit of bad form, wasn't he? He's drawn a line under that little bit of bad form and started again fresh as soon as he's come back in. And I think he's done very, very well for us. And going back to him and Wilshere, I mean. It's personally, I think you've got to have Santi Cazorla in there. He gives you so much. What you were saying earlier, I think it was Kris or Jason, about when you're under a little bit of pressure, you can pass the ball out to Santi and he'll keep the ball for you. And I think he's been brilliant for us this season. And that other place, he's going to go down to one of two, either Jack Wilshere or Aaron Ramsey. They'll both get games. Because you need the rotation. Who's going to get it? It's obviously it's there for everyone to see. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Really?
Yeah, fair point. It is one of those wait and see jobs. John and Danny, I've not forgotten about you. John, I'll come to you first and followed by Danny. Gabriel in the Brazil squad picked for the first time. I believe he's on the bench as we speak at time of recording. Not sure if he's made it onto the pitch yet or if he will, but. He's obviously made the statement in the press this week where he said that he wanted to join a big club to get international reckoning. And when he was at Villarreal, he dreamed of playing for a big club, which he now believes he's at. Obviously, he is. Bless him. Is this just another step forward? Obviously, he played against Newcastle and he looked pretty tidy. John, are you a fan of him? What you've seen so far?
Yeah, I do like him so far. I can see his aerial strength was quite impressive. I thought maybe he'd struggle a little bit with the physicality, but he likes to tackle. He likes to get in front. I don't think we'll see the best of him yet because he's obviously still got time to settle in and get to know the players. He's still struggling a bit with the language, but you can see his distribution on the ball looks pretty good. The call up for Brazil was a little bit odd, I must admit, because he's in international sense, he's come out of nowhere really. Because what was it, a season at Villarreal and then into Arsenal, and and he's straight in the national team. So I don't know if that's more convenience or, Dunga just the way he picks players is if you're playing in Europe, you must be good enough, and that's it. But good for him. Gets to play with better players. He can learn off people like Miranda and Thiago Silva when he's on the international break. He hasn't travelled far, so I expect to see more from him. But I don't think you'll see the best of him until next season, really, when he's had a summer and properly settled in.
Yeah, fair point. Danny, I heard a quote. For the life of me, I can't remember who it was that said this, so I won't give him any credit. It was somebody in the media, I think it's on 5 Live, and they described watching Gabriel as very much like watching a very young and a potentially raw Martin Keown, which is extremely high praise. But I do kind of understand what they're getting at in his sort of touch-type marking, his ruggedness, and the fact that he's just bloody ugly. What's your views on Gabriel? Do you think that he could potentially be the long-term first choice, and are you happy to see him getting minutes this early in his career?
Yeah, I didn't know that someone had said that. I said that to James. Oh fuck! I keep saying. Why do I keep trying to say James? I don't even know anybody called fucking James. Jason. I think it's because we've got Jason and other Jason, and then I try and differentiate between the two of them. I said to him before the pod, he reminds me of a little bit like Keown. He's going out there, he's a little bit mental, and he's going to kill someone.
He did. He said those exact words. To be fair,
perhaps it was Danny on 5 Live.
No, I've never said it to anyone. I just seen it and watching him play. I just thought he doesn't fuck around, does he? As our Geoff would say, he gets in. Or as Mr. Hilly would say, he lets them know he's there. It's just good because you never want it. Mertesacker never really looks like you could slap him in the face with a wet fish and it doesn't look like he'd get too angry. And I think Koscielny, he probably wouldn't care either. And it's always good to have a little bit of mentalness in the team, much like with Coquelin. Coquelin's going to go in there in the midfield and do it there, much like the reason we all love Flamini. He's not necessarily our best player, but he loves to get stuck in. And having a little bit of that steel at the back does remind me of the Keown days, because Adams would be, you don't want to mess with Adams, but Keown would be the enforcer. He'd be the one that would go forward and be there for get a few goals. I mean, very rarely did Adams ever really go forward, apart from that time against Everton at Highbury. Oh, I was there for that game. That's still my favourite ever Arsenal goal. Yes. So, I think John had a good point as well. Gabriel has never even played a youth game at any level for Brazil. And like you said, he's only been at Villarreal for 2 half seasons. I think he joined in the January transfer window 2 years ago, or a year ago, and then joined us after. So, and then he only come in part-time to take over from, I think the captain was injured for quite some time, and then the captain couldn't get back in the team. And it's a meteoric rise of epic proportions. There you go. Try getting that on a tattoo. I don't know where that come from. Why would you want a tattoo of that?
Please don't encourage me to get more tattoos.
I've got half for one. That's all I ever need.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, so hopefully he will come and make his debut. It's the 78th minute at the moment. It's France 1, Brazil 3. Thierry Henry is in the crowd and he's not looking happy. And Giroud's on the bench thinking, oh...
And I hope he stays on that bench, but
I hope they do.
As does Koscielny, hopefully. But...
Yeah, but I'd like to see... he was called up to the Brazilian squad because David Luiz was injured, I think, which might explain. I mean, I only know that because I just Googled it.
Oh, and Marquinhos and David Luiz. Yeah,
at first I thought it was because they dropped a load of Premier League players, but that was Argentina that did that. They dropped 5 Premier League players, didn't they?
Bless him, yeah.
Yeah, there. So, yeah, I think he's a fantastic player, and would I like it to see him number 1? I think Mertesacker's days are numbered. Unfortunately, he hasn't got the speed. He hasn't got the ability. He likes to get forward, but then he can't get back. And I'm quicker.
Best rugby player at the club, though, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the size for it. But then didn't Mertesacker say recently after winning the World Cup he finds trouble motivating himself for games?
He's very honest, isn't he, player? Yeah. And sometimes almost to his detriment because he leaves himself open to be shot at. But you don't get 100+ caps for Germany and win a World Cup if you're shit. I mean, he's clearly very good, but like you say, I think it's certain games.
Podolski.
Yeah,
don't say that to the Australians. Hey, Dom, if you're listening.
It's the modern world, sometimes you've got to pick a team to suit a certain opposition or fixture. Geoff, I know you had something that you wanted to add on Gabriel.
Yeah, I think he's had a great start for us. I really do. You know what the best thing I like about him? He likes to defend. He's one of them guys. He really, really, pardon me. He likes to defend. You get them defenders, they like to come out with a ball, like David Luiz, players like that. They come out with a ball, they've got plenty of time on the ball, they like to pass it up and down. But it seems to me that he really, really, he likes the battle. He like you said, he's an ugly fucker, but he's got plenty of pace, and what that gives us is if one of us gets caught, he's got that pace to get in behind, race back in. And get in between the ball and the goal. Even if he gets a deflection, he's got a couple of blocks at the weekend was brilliant. So and that hunger, that desire to want to defend, that's a great thing. And he's only a young lad, and hopefully, he'll settle in, learn the language, and you never know. He might turn out to be an absolute world beater. You never know.
Yeah, well said, and what a bargain if he does. Jace, you wanted to have the final word on Gabriel as well, didn't you? Jace,
he's gone.
Sorry, I was on mute.
There he is.
Sorry, I do apologise.
He's done a Gimli.
I'm a plonker. Sorry. You look at him. His first game, he looked a bit dodgy with the ball in the air. He's sorting that out now. As G said, he loves a tackle. He likes the defenders to say he's ugly. He doesn't have to worry about his looks. He doesn't give a damn. He can just go for it. But the one thing I'll say is, I don't think Mertesack's days of the club are numbered. I think, we need 4 good centre halves. I think a summer off will do him the world of good. Because as you guys said, he is very honest. I think he's a credit to the club. I think the way he conducts himself is excellent. I think he's an absolute credit to the club. But my question to all you guys would be, do you think if we've got the centre-half core next season of Gabriel, Koscielny, Mertesacker and Chambers as a backup learning the game, do you think that's good enough for next season? Kris?
You segue, Steeler, you.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. We will touch on it. I'll tell you what. Before I answer it, it is the next topic of conversation actually. So I'll go straight into it and I'll give you my answer. Exactly what you said there. There's a lot of people that are talking about players coming in, players coming out, which, to be perfectly honest with you, bugs me because it's bloody March the 26th. We've got, we could still potentially win an FA Cup and finish as high as second in the league, and people are already talking about who should be gone and who should be in. But by the by, so you mentioned the back four. We've all sort of talked about potential strengthening or weakening. So in that case, Jace, to answer your question, is what we've got good enough at the moment at the back? For me, I'd still like one more. I think Chambers in the long run, I almost think he would probably do well to get either a loan next year or a part loan, just to get him some football and regular football, because I thought he did quite well against Newcastle. And if you look at his stats, that backs that up. But he does seem to be a player that we've relied on far too much this year, and had Gabriel come in earlier, we probably wouldn't have done, in fairness. But yeah, I would like to see another one coming in. I'll ask John what you think before we move forward into midfield defence. I mean, are you happy with what we've got? Can you see anyone going out of that defence or coming into it?
Yeah, no, I don't see why people think Mertesacker's done. That's a bit strange for me. He's got that much experience. You'd still want to keep him round, even if he doesn't play as much.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see Gabriel and Koscielny, being the starting two. I think in terms of defenders, I don't really see what else you're going to bring in. I know some people have said about another centre half. If Debussy comes back, fine from his injury, and then you say you've got Bellerin, and then there's I know I actually said a while ago I thought Jenkinson would probably get sold, but I'm starting to take on board what Dom said about, the right age, let him develop. If you have Bellerin and Jenkinson, and then Debussy maybe ends up playing centre half as well, do you really need more defenders? I don't think so. That if you've got all that, you've then got the opportunity to give Chambers a loan out to another club so he gets more game time. Because I think he needs to play games. He just can't. I don't think he needs to play them with us at the moment. He needs to learn more.
I agree. Yeah.
So I'm fairly happy with the defenders we've got.
Yeah, fair point. Geoff, you're a man with his finger on the pulse. What do you think defensively? Have we got enough? Should we add more? Could you see any of what we've currently got moving on? No,
definitely not. The main thing is to any proper team, they've got a settled defence, and I think the gaffer's he's happy with the defenders that we've got, the squad that we've got. And I don't really see, like John said, there's not many out there that really you can bring in. It's all about when they're getting to know each other, and all them good sides, unless you can buy them world class players outright, all them good sides that have won the league over the years, they've had a defence that have played their 30 games together each, and that continuity, and they've played together for 2 and 3 seasons. So you built together, and you know what your partner's going to do, and you know what the right back's going to do, and the left back. You understand me? And I think the manager's quite happy with what he's got at the moment, as long as they're all fit and fighting for places. They're all good on the ball. You're right what you're saying about Mertesacker. He's not going anywhere. Don't worry about that. But that's what the Wenger was trying to do. Wanted to buy a player that was going to come in, and he was ready to play first team football. He didn't want to have to wait, So there would be a challenge for Mertesacker. Mertesacker's he's not finished by no means, but he's just gone over the hill a little bit, we might say. He's not going to get any better now. He's not going to get any quicker for sure. He's just gone over the hill a little bit. Where we've got Gabriel now, Gabriel can come in and learn off of him and Koscielny, and hopefully they'll grow together. But I don't see anybody coming in defence in the summertime. I really don't.
Gee, do you remember the Parma final?
I do.
Tony Adams picks up the early yellow card. All of a sudden, from him leading the back line, Steve Bold takes that job over, and for me, he was man of the match. And we need that relationship there, don't we? We need that type of partnership at centre half, and I think those guys can form that partnership. I think they're all eager to do well.
All the teams through the history of football have generally had 2 centre halves and a goalkeeper that have played the majority of the games for the previous 2 seasons. You have a look through history, all of them. That's the main part of the team, the spine of the team. I know it's a cliche and everything else, but
it's true.
It's a matter of fact. And if you've got that working right, and you don't concede many goals, with a team like Arsenal, with the creative players that we've got, we'll win more games than we lose. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Danny, I'm going to take defence away from you. I'm going to move you into midfield instead. Just running through the sort of the team and where we are. There's more gossip in the Daily Bollocks, as Alan Davis describes it as this week. Talking about Jack Wilshere's potential future, and I know we've touched on him briefly before, but there's a few sort of rumours swirling around that he could be potentially on Man City's radar, whatever the fuck that means. And also Theo Walcott, who we'll touch on later if you class him as a midfielder. What's your views on the way our midfield is? Again, similar question as before. Can you see anyone going out? Can you see anyone coming in?
I can see. I like the idea of Chambers going out on loan, whether he's a defensive midfielder or wherever he plays. I think he's going to have to do something, because it's not going to be good for him sitting on his arse all the time, because he's not going to get a game at the moment. But with the whole Ramsey-Wilshere debate, Ramsey wins hands down every single time. This season, 8 goals in 31 games. And Ramsey for Wales has played like 30 odd games and got about 8 or 9 goals. But Wilshere, he's got 1 goal in 16 games for Arsenal. But Wilshere is the one who thinks he's a number 10, who wants to get forward the whole time. No, you're not. You need to play in the same role for Arsenal as you do for England. But he won't do that, or Wenger won't do that, or somebody won't do that. His goal return is shocking. His ability to shoot is shocking. His passing is great, and that's what he needs to do. Ramsey should be the one getting forward. So I don't want to see either of those two leave. I'd like to see, like Alan Davis was saying on the Tuesday Club, Theo Walcott, if you don't take exactly the same contract as you had before, you're a greedy bastard and you can go fuck yourself. Because he has done fuck all his entire career at Arsenal, apart from one half a good season. And then once you take away his League Cup games and his League Cup goals, he's been less than average. But yet he's our second highest before the Ozil and Sanchez arrived, because I'm not sure how much they're on. But him and Podolski were our 2 highest earners, which is an absolute fucking disgrace. When a bloke, he thinks he's all that, but then he shits his pants whenever he's in front of goal. As much as I want to see Theo thrive at Arsenal and go on and get 20 goals a season and retire at Arsenal, it's not going to happen. How dare he not go, yes, I'll sign immediately, do an Ian Wright, say, where do I sign? Oh, by the way, how much am I on? He won't do that. He wants more money. I mean, once you're earning more than maybe 10 grand a month, if you earn 10 grand a month, you're living the life of Riley. So if you're earning 100 grand a week, even if you're paying 40-50% tax on that, you're still taking home 50 grand a week. That's before you even take into consideration win bonuses, goals, assists, and all that other bullshit. And it just sickens me that a player who is so dog shit, really. That's what he is on the field. He's dog shit on the field at the moment, which kills me to say it. Do you know how much I like the bloke? I still insist on playing him up front on FIFA. That's how much I like the bloke. I'd rather play him up front than play Giroud at the moment, because I just get a sense of satisfaction when he sprints at the defence and he curls in a wonderful goal, and I really want him to do that for Arsenal, and he's not going to do it. And the cheek of him to come and say, I want more money. Well, presumably come in and say he either wants wage parity or he wants a wage increase. You should do, like, I think Diaby say that I don't want paying or something like that.
Diaby took half his wage.
There you go.
Pay as you play call.
And then there was that player at Atletico Madrid back in the day when just after they won the title, they got relegated, and he said, for the next season I will earn €1 for the entire season. You do something like that and then fans are going to love you and remember you forever. But to go and say I've done nothing for however long it is, not his own fault, no way is it his own fault because of that injury. It's like Dom said, it's going to take him a while to come back for it, but at least do the decent thing and sign the contract, and don't be greedy, because so many Arsenal fans would love to see you do well, and we don't. We begrudge you getting that much money. I mean, 100 grand a week. How much? There's only a certain number of bleeding FIFA stickers you can buy. There's only a certain number of cars you can go out and get, or wanky haircuts, or big gay bloody fake diamond earrings you can wear that your mother wouldn't be seen dead wearing. Sooner or later you're going to run out of shit to buy. So do the decent thing, sign the contract, and then concentrate on playing for the club. Don't demand more money and a move to Liverpool, which is where he's going to end up, and it makes me sad.
Well, I wish you'd just tell us how you really feel, but still.
Listen to Davies on the Arsenal, on the Tuesday Club. He was just as angry.
The passion's good, Danny. The passion's good. And you know, that is why we do what we do, because we're passionate and we love the club and we love the players and the views on the players. So.
And then just think how angry I'll be if he goes to sign for Liverpool or Man City on 150 grand a week and he ends up getting 25 goals a season, which he can do if he puts his mind to it and he's injury-free. And that, I'll tell you what, I'll scream.
There's no evidence to say he'll get 25 goals a season, okay? I'm sorry, but,
True.
you know, we've had this once already with him, okay? We've had the signed, you know, you had grown men saying signed a ting. For
if anyone said that to me, I'd slap them.
Yeah, too right. Okay, you know, it's about time that bloke showed the club a bit of loyalty, because we've been through this before with RVP, with Cesc, with all these players.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. He needs to show the club a bit of loyalty. Whether it's a 1-year extension to prove himself, to gain a pay rise down the line, I don't care. But, you know, you've got this season, we've got to get rid of Flamini, got to get rid of Arteta, and replace them with better. You've got to. They're not up to it. Okay, I'm sorry, and Theo might leave as well. And you know, that's the bottom line. But Walcott has got to pull his pants up and start performing, because at the moment he's not even getting the team. How can you demand a 30% increase on your wage, okay, and you're not even in the team? He's got form. He's done it before. I want every player to do well at the Arsenal. I want all our players to do well. I don't buy this business of, oh no, God, it's Flamini coming on. Flamini's done a job for us. He's done a job for us. You know, do we need an upgrade? Yes. Do we need an upgrade on Arteta? Yes. Those are two areas where we need to strengthen. That up and down holding B2B thing. But, you know, for pity's sake, if somebody came along now and offers 25-30 million quid for Theo, which he would command, because he's English, etc., etc., then I say get rid of him, because I don't want to put up with this shit anymore.
No, it's a fair shout, and it's a fair debate to have. Geoff, I'm going to ask you on Theo in a moment, but I'm just going to save it because I know that Jace has got a couple of Facebook questions. So Jace, I'd like you to get Geoff's view on Theo when we come to the questions, if that's all right. But John, I just want to finish with you on this sort of segment with regards to the forward positions. Again, I'm going to tap into your European side of football knowledge. Obviously, we've got what we've got. We've got Olivier. You've got Welbeck as a forward of sorts when we use him in that position. And we've got Chuba, who's obviously going to potentially be the longer term option. Other than that, we're sort of, I wouldn't say light, but there's probably room to improve or add to, particularly if you assume that Podolski and potentially Joel Campbell could move on. What's your views on the forward position? Is it something you'd like strengthened, or are you more than happy to go with what we've got as we look into next season?
No, it is an area I'd like, one player in. I think, unfortunately, Walcott does come into that debate because of him playing wide right most of the time. It's difficult because you look at, obviously, Akpom's going out on loan now, and then you'd imagine next season maybe he gets a full-term loan. You don't know what's going to happen with Sanogo. To be perfectly honest, if he can't get a game at Palace, I don't see how he's going to get back in the Arsenal team. And then if it is just Giroud and Welbeck, I like Welbeck. I like what his energy and his work rate and everything else, but I'm not sure there's a complete striker in there. So I think there's definitely room for someone else to come in. Where that player is or where you're going to get him from, I really don't know, because you don't want to buy someone who's the same as Giroud. You obviously want someone who's a different option to come off the bench or to play alongside him, depending on what system you play or who you're up against. But in terms of Europe, I mean, there's not a lot out there. There's obviously Lacazette, who I know you'd obviously want, Kris.
I'm erect.
Yeah, but, it's going to be a lot of money for him and there'll be a lot of clubs interested. That's if he leaves Lyon in the first place.
Yep.
I know a lot of people have spoken about Dybala. I'm not 100% convinced.
Not buying that, no.
Myself, maybe after another season of Serie A, if he continues. I think maybe there's perhaps not a striker, but maybe like a wide forward as such. Because, you are going to lose. I know Podolski's not in the team at the moment, but you are losing him and probably Campbell, more than likely in the summer. So I know a lot of people have spoken about Draxler again. I spoke to Dom yesterday about Draxler and his injury because he's just come back from it. And from what Dom could gather from looking online and myself as well about the injury, it really depends on how he comes back from it and how his movement is. Because we know, obviously, Arsene was very interested in him. So that may be a possibility. But it'll be interesting to see in the summer. I think it really does depend on what happens with Theo and if he goes. Personally, I do think he's going to go. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm on the same vein, and some nice names chucked in there. Just very, very briefly on the Dybala thing, I know a lot of people got excited on Twitter when some bloke who's apparently quite a reputable source said Arsenal will meet with them. I'm pretty sure Geoff will back me up in saying that all of these sort of things come out this time of year, and 90% of them are utter bollocks and agent talk, just trying to get their client a higher fee or a new contract. So I wouldn't necessarily believe in all that crap. And all of us know Arsene Wenger very, very well. If he was looking at a certain player at this time of year, the journalists would be the last people to know about it. So draw a line under that one.
Spot on.
Let's get ourselves into very briefly onto the internationals before we go to questions. Danny, am I right in saying you have a prepared list of players who have been away or who are current away with their international sides? Can you just give us a quick rundown of who they are and where they are?
The ones I could find was Bahrain 0, Colombia 6. Espina played in goal, played 90 minutes. Iran 2, Chile 0. That's the mighty Iran. And Sanchez I think he came off the bench. I'm not sure. I think John said he'd only just come off the bench. And then we had France 1, Brazil 3. Gabriel and Koscielny didn't come off the bench that I saw. Giroud did towards the end and just walked around, didn't get kicked, so that's always a good thing. And then yesterday we had Germany 2, Australia 2. Mesut played 90 minutes and Podolski come on and scored to make it 2-2. So that's going to make Dom a very sad person because the mighty Australia were beating the World Cup winners 2-1 with about 20 minutes to go. And then the most amazing international news that I have seen in about 1,000 years, Denmark 3, USA 2, Lord Bentner scored a hat-trick. And I worked out he scored as many goals there in that one game as he has league goals in the last 3 seasons.
Oh, Jesus. Did you see the tweet I got last night from, I'll give him credit, who was it? I was watching this game at local league, and this chap tweeted me. Will Stafford tweeted me, and he said, "Nicholas Bentner has just scored a hat-trick against my national team. That is all."
Yes, I did.
Quality.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Poor old Will. That was
God,
funny.
God bless Nicholas. I still think he'd have done a job if he'd have stayed with us and been patient, but that's another story. Okay, anyone else? I know there's a couple of lads away with England. Anybody else scheduled to play tomorrow in competitive games where there's more likely to be injuries?
Not that I can see of.
Rambo's playing for Wales against Israel.
Indeed he is,
I
yeah.
haven't looked.
Come on, Wales!
I think
Come
Gibbs. We all know that Danny Welbeck won't be playing because the white Pele will be out front for England, so we don't have to worry about that, do we?
Who's the captain of Wales now, Jason? Because didn't they strip him of the captaincy, or is he still captain?
He was made captain by Speed at a young age. He was, but it really played on him a bit. He was too young. I think it's Bale at the moment, or is it Ashley Williams?
Yeah,
it's either Bale or Ashley Williams. But to be fair, we got a decent little side coming. If we could only get a striker,
I think it's Ashley Williams, isn't it?
Yeah. Bale's captain them as well. But to be fair, we've not been the best over the years. Let's be fair. Okay, we've had Ian Rush, we've had Mark Hughes, we've had Kevin Ratcliffe, Pat Van Den Hau. We've had some great players.
Nobody say a word, let him wallow.
Hey, John Charles, still voted by Italian football fans as the greatest ever foreigner to play in Italy, and that includes Maradona.
Hold on, Bentner played in Italy. They've got that wrong.
no, Bentner sat on the bench in Italy.
You know, they said
stunning hat trick last night.
Yeah.
The third goal was great.
Actually, somebody's mentioned that on Facebook.
I think they were saying, well, Bentner was at Juventus, that they didn't sell a single shirt with Bentner on the back. So TalkSport rang up and bought one, and they said, "Are you sure you want one?"
Although the same can be said. This might have changed since, but I believe that the Arsenal hadn't sold any Nacho Monreal shirts until. Well, probably has changed since now, but a couple of months back, I don't think the club shop had sold one.
But not being funny, is it just me? I thought Monreal was decent last season.
I love him to bits. Yeah, I did.
A job.
I thought he was decent.
We've spoken about this before. He's a quality player.
It's because he never cost £25 million.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Right, let's get into some questions. Just before I do say that, God rest Gary Speed, by the way. Never hear that man's name enough. So
loved him. He was brilliant.
Not being funny, okay? Legend. What a credit to the game.
Absolutely, sadly missed.
Sadly missed, yeah.
Really is. Fucking hell, Jace, we agreed on something. Steady on. Right, let's get into questions, shall we? Danny, we'll start on the Twitter side. I've got two. I believe you've got a couple, and then we'll wing across to Jace for the Facebook questions. So, Danny, go for gold.
I'll make these as quick as possible. Jeff Mack, number 10, Mesut or Santi? He says, for me, Santi every time and Mesut on the left. I don't think that works. What do you reckon, Chris?
I'm in favour of playing different players at different positions at different times. So make of that answer what you will. I think it depends on the opposition, and it depends what sort of style you're going for.
Yes, Geoff.
Well, we've got to play both in the same team.
What positions would you play in, though? Would you change it like Chris says?
Well, Santi in the middle and Santi deeper lying role in the middle as a midfield player, and Ozil number 10.
Oh, there you go then, John.
What a stupid fucking question. You don't spend £42.5 million on the world's best number 10 and then not play him there. You play him there. All right, if you really want to go for it and spank someone and just put 6 forwards out, then you can stick him on the wing if you like. But actually, you say to him, just go wherever you fucking want. What? Sorry, stupid question for me.
Oh, there you go.
So if leaves.
Yeah, so it's J Welsh 84.
My followers go down.
J Welsh 84. If anybody wants to come on and call John a twat.
John, that's my job.
He's got a point, John. He's got a point.
If you're going to step my toes, son, okay, mean you can have words. I'm not having this.
I tell you what, I'll cheer everyone up. I'll get some followers back. I'll cheer them all up by telling them that Bentner has now got more international goals than Aguero, Falcao, Cavani, and Carlos Tevez.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And he's got one for Wolfsburg in the league all season, I think.
Oh, God, yeah,
he got one in the Europa League.
I was going to say he got one in the Europa League, didn't he, last week?
That's 2 then, all season. Jace. Oh, God, that's going to mess me up now. It's like when I go to say astrology, I say astronomy.
I'm very much of a similar opinion to the guys, especially John. He's £42.5 million. He's a world-class player. Yeah, he's had some troubled times this, but you leave him float in that 10 role. and you play around him, he will come good for us. It's up to the other players in our team to stand up and to basically be the players that he needs around him. We need to step up as a team.
Right, okay. Right, while I'm with you, Tom says, do we need a better goalkeeper if no one leaves? If yes, then who? Would you like to see Lloris? Cheers, you cheeky monkeys.
I love Lloris. I think Lloris is a great keeper. Foster's the guy I like a lot. I like a big keeper. I do think we need improvement, but I think if you've got a world-class keeper there, he's going to save you. He's going to win you games. And I haven't seen Szczesny's shit the bed in it. Ospina still needs time. He could be that guy. You don't know. He's not my cup of tea, but he could be the guy.
Poor old Martinez, our third choice, has gone on loan to Rotherham. Rotherham were 2-0 up, and he let in 3 late goals. So that's what happens when you go to Rotherham.
He's learning, isn't he?
Yeah. I have high hopes for him. John, what do you think on the goalkeeper situation?
I'm a bit. Oh God, I'm going to start agreeing with Jason all the time. This is bad.
Not good for you, John.
Yeah, it's just the surname, isn't it?
Boys. It always happens. Come to me. Great
look, Jason's gone all Savile on him.
God. Yeah.
That's a bit harsh.
I don't know. I think I'd rather Jason's fanboy or Carpenter's fanboy. That's a hard call.
Best of a bad.
But anyway, goalkeeper. Yeah. Ospina. Yeah, I think he's okay. I don't think he's anything spectacular, but Szczesny is the confusing one for me because I think it's whether you stick with him or not, and how many times is he going to cock up, not necessarily on the pitch but off the pitch. I think the fact he's been kept out of the team that long says to me that maybe Wenger's had enough of him. So if one of them was to go, it'd be Szczesny to go for me, just because mentally he's not there. And if I had my choice keeper, Neto, who is out of contract in the summer, funnily enough. So you would only have to pay a signing on fee for him. Other keepers struggling really. Other than that, Neto basically, or maybe Lopez at Lyon. That'd be it.
Geoff, any wise words?
No. I'd stick with the keepers that we've got, and I honestly don't think Hugo Lloris is an upgrade on the two that we've got. I really don't.
For what? Before we go, Kris.
Sorry, can I just ask Geoff a question there? Geoff, if for argument's sake you could get Czech for £5 million, okay, for 2 or 3 seasons, would you be tempted?
Yeah, why not? Of course, the massive experience he's got in the game, I could think he could only add. Would he come to Arsenal and do the same as what he's done at Chelsea, though? Because that's what he'd do. He's not going to be guaranteed a place at Arsenal. He'll get a chance, no doubt, but he won't be guaranteed a place. And you know what? I think, again, we'd have 3 goalkeepers in that case that are really, really neck and neck. They're 6 to 1, half a dozen, the other lot of them.
Well, before I ask Kris, I just want to say my view on it is that I would get rid of Szczesny tomorrow, because he showed his attitude issues when he played in the FA Cup, and the first thing he did was come running out of the area acting like a twat as usual. So I'd get rid of him, and then I don't know who else you get in, but I really want to stick with Ospina. Kris?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to add really. I've been well publicised in my views of. I say well publicised. That makes it sound like people have talked. I don't mean it like that.
I've been in the papers.
I've made my views clear. That's a better way of putting it.
On WhatsApp.
Yeah.
To us.
No, I think I've said it on the pod a few times. I really like Ospina. I think he has the potential to be world class. I genuinely think people are very, very quick to forget this is a guy who's only been our quote unquote number 1 for the past 3 months. I think there's a lot more to come from him, and people are very quick to write people off. So I think Ospina for me is the one. I still like Szczesny. I want it, like Jay said earlier on, to a different comment. Anyone that plays for Arsenal, comes through the Arsenal system, I want it to work for them. I want them to improve, and I want them to come on. I'm just concerned, like John said there, the fact that Arsene Wenger has kept Szczesny in this long. Ospina in this long. Last season he gave Szczesny the break, but he came back in, albeit when Fabianski got an injury, it opened the door for him to come back. But it doesn't look to me like Arsene Wenger is even thinking about putting Szczesny back in, which says a lot. But I do do really hope for Chesney's sake that he does get his head screwed on, he works hard, and it makes him a better keeper. I'm just not sure how many chances he'll get. If you want me to give you a name of anyone, just out of curiosity or to say about who you come in, I agree with Jason 100%. If you could get Peter Cech, I mean, let's be honest, they're not gonna sell to us. Let's be perfectly frank about that. Not a chance. But if you could, yes, I'd do it. And if you were looking for somebody to come in as an understudy who could potentially be, and I mean world class, there's a lad at Genoa called Mattia Perran, who is every bit as good as Gianluigi Buffon was at the same age. He's 22, and this kid's going to be a star. So if there's anyone I could steal away, he'd be it. But no, I'm happy with Ospina. Let's keep it as it is and work with what we got.
Jolly good. Well, as we've done 1 hour, 20 minutes, we've got 10 minutes to go. I'll shut up and move on to you.
Okay, cool. Well, I've only got the 2, and then we'll go to Jay. So the questions I've got, one is from Dave Smythe, who's just tweeted a lovely idea for you to use in the bath, Danny. So you might want to have a look at that at some point.
Cheeky.
It's not that, trust me. And again, if you do buy this, we don't want to see it. So no pictures, okay? So Dave asked earlier on, he said, who in the squad, if anyone, do you see as an Arsenal captain after Arteta? Now, this is one that's gone around quite a lot recently with Mikel's injury. Geoff, let's start with you.
It's a tough one, isn't it, really? Let's look across the back 4. I think I'd put Koscielny in there. I know he's not very vocal, but, I mean, it's difficult nowadays. Them captain type of players, they're a rare breed, aren't they? There's not many of them about. I think I've said it before. I think there's only John Terry and, when Carragher was playing, that type of player that I mean anyway. There's not a lot of emphasis on the captain anymore, really. You see the armband being handed out like, 3 or 4 players during one game, one goes off and then it goes to another man, etc. But I think a captain has always got to be at the back because he can face the player, he can see what's going on all the time. So a centre half, Mertesacker is maybe, like I said, he'll play, but I don't think he's going to be playing that much. So I'd go Koscielny.
Good shout. And I totally understand what you're getting at, by the way. Leadership by example. I can see where you're going with that. Jace, what do you reckon?
I kind of agree with Koscielny, actually. When you first asked the question, I thought very much the same. He's got to be starting majority of the games. I don't think Per is going to do that. But again, you need that spine of leaders as well. Whether it Coquelin, Ramsey, Arteta, it's not Arteta, sorry, Cazorla, Sanchez. You need spinal leaders in the team to help whoever's got the armband. But I don't see anybody else being nailed on to start. So yeah,
it's a tough one, isn't it, Danny?
Very.
I think you've got to look at this from a couple of points of view. Who's going to be at the club the longest? I don't think Mertesacker's got many years left at the club. I like the fact that Santi has it at the moment when I think he's third choice captain. And the older Santi gets, the more he's moving into the central midfield. And I always think a captain should either be centre back or central midfield. And Santi does it already. I'll say him because I think he's got a good few years left at the club. Like all great players, the older they get, the further back they move. So he'll end up having a central midfield role because he was originally out on the wings, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I just really like Santi. I think he's got a great passion for the game and just love everything about it. Quite his feet in football, so I'd say Santi.
Fair enough. And finally, John, what do you reckon, mate?
For right now, I'd give it to Nacho, actually. I think he's been probably our most consistent player, not just this season, but from the back end of last season as well. I know people will probably argue about Gibbs coming in, but for me, Gibbs shouldn't be in the team at all at the moment. Monreal should be playing pretty much every game.
Agreed.
But long term, like Danny said, I do think you've got to look at who's going to be there. And I would like it to go to Ramsey. Not right now, because I think he's too much of a form player. But when he gets that consistency with age, I think he's got that about him, and he seems to be really level-headed. You never really think bad about him off the pitch, like you would with, say, a lot of people would like Wilshere to be captain. I don't really want to tear away as the captain of my club. Ramsey's a nice, you could see, you wouldn't be pissed off if your sister came home and it was her new boyfriend was Aaron Ramsey. If it's Jack Wilshere, you're going to give him a lump round the ear, aren't you?
Nicely put. Just to throw my 10 pence worth, and I'll throw another name in, Mathieu Debuchy. If he's first choice right back, I think he's a leader. I really do. From what I saw of him, he was captain at Lille for 3 seasons. I think I'm right in saying 3 seasons. I like him. I really do. I watched a lot of him sort of when he first got into the side, and I like his organisation, his leadership. He strikes me a little bit of a. Do you remember when Sanya got that headed goal against that lot, the 5-2, when he just sort of got forward and almost took the game by the scruff of the neck? Gives me the idea that he is that type of player. He is a little bit of a nutter, but that's just for my 10 pence worth. But I think Koscielny is probably the standout. So popular vote on that one. So there you go. The only other question I had was coming in from CK, who's at Funky Fred. By the way, Dave Smythe's handle is at Guna Smythe, by the way. So Funky Fred asked, who leaves the squad during the summer to improve the overall quality and competition? So don't worry about who comes in, but who do you think's going out? We'll go in reverse order. Let's start with John.
Players leaving. I don't think Joel Campbell's going to get back in. I don't really watch La Liga, so I don't know how he's doing over there. But I reckon he's gone. Podolski, you've got to think's gone. I really hope he don't come back, because if he comes back in the form he's at Inter, fucking hell. And probably Flamini. Other than that, I don't think anyone else really. I'm quite happy with the squad. It's more people coming in to improve it.
Fair enough, Chase.
Flamini, Arteta. I think if you buy one midfielder, you can replace both of them because of Coughlin coming into the team. Podolski and Campbell, you can buy one to replace those two. And I see Theo going. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that one. Geoff, what do you reckon, mate?
John summed it up quite well, really. I think Flamini, Campbell, Podolski. I think Arteta will stay for another year. They're the guys that I think will be moving out of the club, but and everyone else I think will stay.
And finally, Danny.
Podolski, Szczesny, Flamini. I think Gibbs might be tempted because he's not number one anymore. I think Wilshere, if someone comes in like Man City, come over 40 million offer for Wilshere, I think that Arsenal might sell him. Who else is on there? I'm just looking through this. Joel Campbell, he's definitely gone. Yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. The only one to add to that for me would probably be Shane, but Abu Dhabi I think will be released.
He's gone already, doesn't he? Come on.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I'd like to see us give him some sort of role, almost like Danny Carbassiu, maybe a scouting role or something. I'd like to see him just remain, part of the club background, if you like, because I think he's tried his best, bless him. It's not his fault he had his career ruined, but I think he'll go. The only other one, Danny briefly touched on it, I do wonder if Man City did test us with money for Wilshere, I do wonder whether we would or not. I don't think we would, but watch this space.
They're not going to have the money, though, are they?
Quid.
Say that again?
Man City haven't got the money to spend. They've already been hit by financial fair play. They're going to get hit by it again.
Fair point,
they're going to have to sell to make any money. And the only players they've got of real value is Aguero. You don't want to sell him. Everyone else in their squad is like nearly 30 years old.
But don't forget that James Milner apparently is going to go to Liverpool, and although he's not a huge earner, it'll get money freed up. And then the big one to watch is I think you'll see Yaya Toure into Milan next season, and that's going to.
Inter can't pay a big fee for Toure.
Oh no, they won't pay. They won't pay a big fee, but what Man City will save in wages, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they'll try and offset this financial fair play to.
Didn't I hear that he was going back to Barca? Wanted him.
Nah, I can't see it. He imagine him in that style of play.
Got a song, haven't they?
Jesus, yeah, no chance. Watch this space, but Mancini loves him. So, okay, well that's it for my questions. Jace, let's finish things up with a Facebook.
Okay, Mr. Geoff Arsenal, how are you?
Yeah, well, I've got air in the lungs, Jason. That's the main thing, mate, isn't it?
I'm always happy to hear that, mate. Okay, I dread to think. Always worry about your safety, mate. We've had 4 guys have asked us with Theo Walcott, Luka Kolakusic, Alan Wiseman, Dale Williams, John Campbell. One of the questions was regarding Theo's tweets today, where he's basically said, I don't normally comment on false stories about myself, but reports about contract demands and bust-ups to the boss are complete nonsense. There have been no contract talks as of yet, and my current focus is not on contracts, it's about doing my best for Arsenal Football Club. Yet, Arsene Wenger has commented that they have started talking about contract talks. Now, we've had bluster off Theo before. What's your take on the whole business, mate?
It is exactly that, bluster. Theo is concentrating on trying to get back into the first team. I spoke to someone about this today, funny enough. He's trying to get back in the first team, which he's finding it difficult to do because of the competition. It's absolute paper talk. It's just all a load of old bluster right away through the whole thing. Theo's quite happy with the club. I don't really see him moving on unless we want him to move on, if you get what I mean. Yeah. He's not pushing for a move, but if Arsenal was interested in somebody else and there might be a swap there or something like that, or they might take big money for him, then it's up to Arsene Wenger at the time, isn't it? But one thing I do know is Theo has really got to start getting some, he's got to find some form from somewhere because, the competition at the club is only going to get better now.
Superb. I'm only going to ask Geoff that one simply because everybody else has had a bit of a say on Theo. And we're going to do a couple more questions and I'm going to ask two of you each your opinion on this. First of all, Andre Jacobs. Top man is Andre. I'm going to come back to you straight away, Geoff. Do you see Danny Welbeck ever improving his striking? He missed a few great chances against Newcastle and hasn't been as consistent as many of us had hoped he'd be at Arsenal. What are your thoughts, mate?
I think that's quite harsh. I think he's been very, very good for Arsenal. He's not played up top where he really wants to play all the time because obviously Giroud's come in and he's done really, really well, and Sanchez is also is a top scorer at the moment for us. So he's not really had that time. But the thing is with Danny, and I said it when we first signed him, he's so versatile. He can play left or right or down the centre. Right? He's one of them players. He's got a problem because he is so versatile. If he was just a centre forward, he'd obviously get more game time and he'd have a career as a centre forward. Where he's so versatile, he can't really command a natural place in the team. But I think he will improve at Arsenal once we play a different kind of style of play to when he was at Man United, and he'd been at Man United and had that ingrained in him for such a long time that it's going to take a little bit of time to get it out. But you can see he's a natural. He's great on the ball. He holds the ball up well. He's got fantastic pace, and he's got a great desire to chase after balls and stuff. So I think he's got a good future at Arsenal. I really do. I think he's got plenty to play for yet.
Do you think he takes one touch too many in front of goal?
I think what I hear is they're trying to get Danny to concentrate on being a bit calmer in front of goal. That Newcastle one at the weekend, if he was just a little bit calmer in front of goal, that's a ball where you just caress it straight into the side of the net rather than put your foot through it. I think that's what he was trying to do, but because he's a little bit, he's not 100% confidence on his finishing. I think that's the problem. If he just takes his time, and they're trying to get him to just take his time, and take your time with the shots in goal instead of snatching at them, because that's what he did really. He snatched at that one chance that he had that should have put us clear really. But I think he's got a good future at Arsenal.
Cool, brilliant. John Welsh.
I like Welbeck. We missed that sort of really athletic, quick forward for quite a while, I think, at the club. And he's only going to improve with the players that are around him. He spent a long time at United. They play a very different style. It's all down the wings, and he's been shuffled around in positions. He's a bit like, James Milner has the same problem at Man City. He's so good that he can play sort of anywhere. You get shuffled all over the place. Once he settles in more, I think he's only going to get better. And weirdly, I think he's one of the few players who actually benefits from the international games because he always plays well for England. I can't international football, couldn't give a fuck to be honest, but he seems to always, whenever he plays for England, his form afterwards is always quite good. So the little international break might help him out a bit. But I was dubious when we first signed him, but I'm happy he's in the squad.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think he's summed a lot of people's views up there. Cheers, lads. Right, we're going to go on to Kris next. Nicola Tielso and Chris Hopkins have both asked, Debussy, when he's fit, does he go straight back in the starting 11? Christopher?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I think that he is still our first choice right back. I said earlier on, I touched on his leadership. I think he's a grafter. He's exactly the sort of player you want on a run into an end of the season where he'll commit sort of, thunder and all sort of blood and thunder to get the job done. I would say I really like Bellerin. I think he's been really, really good. He's come on leaps and bounds. But at that age, it's not going to kill a player to leave him out for a few weeks and have him for next season. So, yep, for me, 100% straight back in.
Brilliant. Danny?
I've got nothing to add. I agree with everything. They've all covered it perfectly.
Cool. I do agree. Geoff, I'm coming to you on this next one. And, oh, God, I've just bloody lost it. From Scott Jones, sorry. Arsene has built a decent squad with 2 players covering more or less every position. How many signings, stroke seasons, do you think the lads are away from winning the league or Champions League?
I honestly really do think they can challenge next season now. I really, really do. It's all about, in the summer, it's all about retaining the squad that you got, keeping that group of lads together. Because we've had them now for a couple of years. We've brought in Ozil and we've brought in Welbeck and Sanchez, fantastic additions. We're maybe a central midfielder away from a proper defensive central midfielder away to add to Coquelin, whether to challenge Coquelin as a central midfield player. And I asked a question earlier on and got the answer that they're having another look at Geoffrey Kondogbia, from Monaco. They was interested in when he was at Seville, but obviously the money that I think it was 20 million quid or something like that. I think they had to pay for him. Monaco had to pay for him. So they're having another look at Kondogbia. And obviously the Morgan Schneidlin rumour, that hasn't gone away. But what he's trying to do, he's looking for that, not necessarily a defensive midfield player, but that type of player. But he wants a tall type of player that can do the good defensive work in the air as well as on the floor. And Kondogbia and Schneidlin and that type of player, they're decent on the ball as well. So, I mean, that, to be honest with you, is all I can see him signing in the summer, unless someone like a big marquee centre forward comes to light, which is very difficult. I just think he's going to focus on that one particular area, and I do really think that we're so close. I know we've been saying it for a few seasons now, but I think we're definitely a better team now than we have been for the last 3 or 4 seasons. There's no doubt about it in my eyes.
Geoff, that Kondogbia is 20 million euros that they signed him for, and their president has said that he would want at least 26 million euros to even consider moving him on. So
yeah, I heard that they're talking about, they think £25 million would buy him.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
For
a 22-year-old.
But not being funny, you're going to have to pay something similar for Schneidlin. Personally, I mean, if you look at the home game where again, their home game, our away game against Monaco, I thought Kondogbia, he was great at ours. He was awful at theirs. I thought he was very average. But again, it's over the season, isn't it?
He's just, I mean, obviously John will probably be able to speak if you want on this as well, but having watched him a few times, he's one of those that when he's good, he's very, very good. When he's not bad. He's not William Carvalho, where he's just a complete myth about how brilliant he is or isn't. Don't get me wrong, he's decent, but he's certainly not Arsenal quality.
But you'd be getting consistency with Schneidlin.
You would. The thing is with Schneidlin is you'll probably get Schneidlin for the same money or less than you would with Kondogbia. And as everyone has said, Schneidlin is Premier League ready and experienced. However, Kondogbia is Champions League experience, so it's very much a toss-up.
I think Schneidlin can do that, no problem. Actually, I want to come to Danny on this because he didn't answer much in the last one. By the way, Met Christophe also asked a similar question. Just want to give him a shout out. Danny, your thoughts? How far away from the league / Champions League?
I don't think it's got much to do with us. I think it's more to do with how much money Man City and Chelsea spend. And to a lesser extent, Man United, we're always treading water trying to catch up with them. And until FIFA do something about the amount of money that, like sending players out on 2-year loans. I mean, just look at that Chelsea deal where they loaned Torres to AC Milan, and then the moment they sold him to AC Milan loaned him to Atletico Madrid. Until that is stamped down on, and people get massive fines, threats of relegation, it doesn't matter what we're going to do. They always have more money and have better lawyers and find better ways of getting around it. So football's broken. But I think, like Geoff said, I think next year we could be on it. If we'd have had Giroud all season, then I think we'd have been battling for first.
Yeah,
and a little bit of luck.
Giroud and Koscielny have cost us, and they've them being it. Okay. Right, I got a few of the guys have asked about the homegrown rule and Greg Dyke's comments. We're going to be covering that next week, guys, so we're not answering that. One more question. It's from Anders Berenhall, and I'm going to go John and Geoff on this. Actually, everybody can answer this one. Sorry. Anders asking, last season, Nabry came through the system. This season, Bellerina's shown through the system. Who do you tip next season to come through the youth system? Geoff?
Oh, blimey. You know what? I've not really been following the youth system a great deal, to be honest with you. I mean, he's still very young, very, very young and raw, Danny Crowley. But apart from that, I don't know. I've not really been following it, I must admit.
Okay, what about Zlalem?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
The problem is we've got is, you know, we're at that stage now where we can afford good quality players. With you know, these youngsters, it's going to be hard for them to get in. That's the problem. Get game time, you know, and they've got to be absolute top class if they're going to come through into Arsenal's first team. But if they're good enough, they will get in. You'll get a chance with Wenger. We know that.
Superb. John?
Isaac, is it Isaac Hayden?
Yeah.
Is that the young lad? I think he would centre half. I know he got in the Carling Rumbelows Cup, whatever the fuck it's called now. You know, he got in that game, didn't he?
Cup.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe him. One I would like to see, possibly just because I might be able to get tickets because I've got a tenuous link to him. Chris Willock, although he's he's very, very young. His brother played with my nephew in a few teams. His brother was apparently was actually a better footballer, but just couldn't be bothered when he got to a certain age. Like a 7-year-old Lionel Messi was running rings around everyone.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do well just because I've met him once or twice.
Okay, cool. Danny?
I think if you look at the number of players this season that have only played a handful of games, Gnabry hasn't played a single game yet, so I think maybe a loan for him early part of next season or end of this season, I expect big things from him, because seeing that Goliath of a man running down that wing at 800 mile an hour is enough to scare the shit out of anybody. And then you've got the mighty Gideon Zelalem, who's coming along wonders, who's now finally, almost looks like he's finally made his mind up and he's going to be playing for Germany. It's a bit sad, but for us it's going to be good because Germany's closer to the UK than the US of A is. Bielik, he's going to be another big one next season. I'm reading these off from the list, but these are all ones that I've been, because I keep an eye on the young players. I'm not sure Chupa Chupa's going to make it. I'd like to see him given more of a chance. I think it could be this run at Forest could be a make or break for him, because I think Wenger's given him how many games. He's played 7 games as a sub this season, probably total in 8 minutes. And so he's not had much chance to do it. Hector's going to come on leaps and bounds. But one I've got my eye on is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think he's left
Conservative.
Hey,
Maitland-Niles, London.
Yeah. Oh, and then we've got the Irish legend Stephen O'Connor to be sure, and I think all of those will get some more games this coming season. But I think the one I'm most looking forward to is the one that Geoff said, Super Dan Crowley, absolute brilliant for the under 18s and under 21s, whatever games he's played. He's one I'm really looking forward to. I think he could be the next Jack Wilshere, but without the tattoos, the attitude, and the addiction to FIFA.
Oh, actually, just quickly, there's I think it's Monday night. There's England under 21s against Germany under 21. So I'm pretty sure Gnabry got a call up for the German under 21s, and there was probably a few Arsenal players in the England team as well. I think Akpom sometimes plays for them. I'm not sure who's in the squad, but it might be worth looking out for that game Monday night. You might get to see some Arsenal youngsters play.
A little bit of passion at last.
Okay, Christopher?
I'll just chuck 3 more in just to be different. There's a young right back who I quite like the look of, called Tafari Moore. who's he's just got all the makings of another Bellerin almost. That's the only problem that I think he's going to have is getting into the side. But he's a very, very talented right back. The other two, one is Ryan Huddart, the goalkeeper. They expect big things of him. He's already jumped ahead of Matt Macey as far as the queue goes, and he's actually got games ahead of Dejan Iliev as well, who was the one that they thought would be breaking through. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Huddart come in as the third keeper if Martinez goes on a season loan next year, which they're talking about. And the third one is probably a nightmare for Danny, Julio Peguazuelo.
Bless you.
This guy has got everything. At the age he is, I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's good on the ball, he's good in the air.
He's big, he's fast, he likes to smoke his grass.
Peguazuelo. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it? We'll call him Julio, but no, anyone that's seen him at sort of a youth level and coming through the ranks, he's the lad who came along with John Torral at Barcelona, who came through the academy. So he's obviously got a bit about him, but he just looks. If you think about how Brazilian defenders bring the ball out of defence, or almost like a young Rio Ferdinand, dare I say it, but he's very, very composed and he reads the game extremely well. So if we don't bring in another centre half in the summer, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a first team shirt next year. Probably not ready to make his debut, but he might make the cup squad. So he's probably the one I'd pin my hopes on.
You're doing a carpenter.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you to everybody. I'm just going to say, I can see Bielik making it, Dan Crowley. I don't think Zalalem's got the mentality. That's it. Thank you to everyone for the Facebook questions. Back to you, Kris.
Okay, yes. Well, I'll begin to wrap things. Well, we'll be wrapping things up then. We'll come to shout-outs and anybody that wants to give a gentleman's nudge, as Danny calls it to anyone. We'll
nod, not nudge.
Sorry, gentleman's nod. Sorry.
Gentleman's nudge is a very different thing, Kris.
Gentleman's nub is even worse. John, we'll go to you first of all. Anybody you want to shout out or anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm going to try and not murder his name. Gregor Lezniak on Twitter, I think it is.
He's good, lads.
It's at Greg GREGA 93. Really, really nice bloke. Had a good chat with him on Twitter, so it's definitely worth a follow.
Cool, thank you very much. Jace, do you have anybody you'd like to mention?
Yeah, from the Facebook page, Grant Hearn. His question today was, why has Zane left 1D?
Come on, the Portland Timbers.
I'm not getting involved in that, Grant, sorry. And from Twitter, it's Sam Belazka, and that's at SBELAZKA. He's a Pompey gunner. Decent guy. That's it. Thank you.
No worries. Geoff, anybody you'd like to give a shout out?
Yeah, I've got two this week, believe it or not.
Ooh!
I had a great time at the Chic concert featuring Nile Rodgers on Saturday night at the Roundhouse in London.
I'm so jealous.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And if you can try and catch him somewhere, honestly, they're brilliant, they are. And I went with two lovely ladies, mother and daughter. They're quite big on Twitter and they're great follows. And that's Colette, and her name is at LE77Y64, and her daughter is Lolly, is LOLLY 37. Two great followers, honestly. Great Arsenal fans.
The pics from that gig were superb.
Honestly, it was fantastic. Brilliant, mate.
Thank you, G. Danny, do you have anybody you'd like to give a gentleman's nod to?
Oh, I said, does anybody want it? And quite a few did. Kenyon Gooner, Brian James Thompson, Devin Dawson, and then the most weird one was 808's Baby. So there you go. Hello to all you lot.
808's Baby.
I don't know what that means.
Jesus. We don't have any predictions this week because we aren't playing any games, so we'll have predictions.
I predict boredom.
Week. Yes, indeed. I've just got two nods and one shout quickly.
And a wink.
The nods go to, one is to, I won't name her, but somebody who I'm very close to who's had a bit of a shit week. So just a gentle nod to her. She'll know who that is. Keep fighting the good fight. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to the TCC. Again, they know who they are. Heavily linked to the Pirates. Good shout out to you, boys.
Oh, Jesus Christ, what's this? Just Enigma code. You're having a shout out. I'm not going to say your name. No. You don't know. Kris knows. Oh,
They know who they are, Jace. I'll tell you what. I'll give you one shout out that I was going to mention. My new best friend on Instagram, and that is everyone knows Ava, at Ava MCL3.
Kittens.
Yeah, we've had many exchanges of random pictures of cats in the last couple of days on Instagram. So little nod to
Jesus.
Ava.
Sorry, can I say something after you finish? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it now.
Okay. Book signing in Cambridge. Was it in Heifer's Bookshop, Cambridge? Day of Sega is having a Geordie Armstrong book signing in Heifer's Bookshop in Cambridge. With him, he's going to have Vic Akers,
And the twins.
Omar Rizza, and Ray Parler. Ray Parler's going to be there.
I'm 15 minutes away. What day is it?
Oh, it's been today. No, Thursday, April the 9th. Sorry.
What time?
6:30 till 8 o'clock.
All right, I'll be doing a pod. Cheers. They could have asked me first.
Oh, Danny.
Sorry,
Always
bro.
disappointing. Danny, just before we wrap up, would you like to just let the listeners know what they can find via the Bergie blogs, please?
Yes, I did have this in exactly the right page, but I've scrolled down from it. Right, it is at the Bergie blogs. Our very own Geoff Hulenfruden is doing wonderful work there. Go and give him a follow. And their latest two blogs, one is by Simon Collins called Decision Time by Theo, and the other one is Geoff's regular Monday or Tuesday, I think he puts it out, called Stick or Twist. I think that's the third one, where each time he gives you a little rundown of what he's thinking about, and then he leaves the decision up to you. You click or twist, stick or twist, and then there's a poll pops up for every, and he usually have 3 questions per blog that he does, and he puts a hell of a lot of thought into them. He puts more thought into one blog than I've put into any single podcast I've ever done if you add them all up.
He is.
So go and read them and give them a follow. In fact, give Geoff a follow.
Yes.
If you can spell Hullenfrenden, good luck to you.
Hullenfrund.
Or just look up the other Geoff.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's an excellent follow. He's a top man and a gentleman. Right, well, that pretty much wraps us up for tonight, gents, other than to say thank you all very much for joining us. And thank you all very much for joining me.
Cheers.
We will be back, obviously, same bat channel, same bat place, same bat time next week.
Different time next week.
Different time next week. Sorry, you're absolutely right. Fuck that up, didn't I? Yes, we'll be joined by Dom, so we'll be on Aussie time next week, but it should be a really good debate. So do tune in for us then. Other than that, this has been a Bergkamp Wonderland. Thank you all very much for listening. Love you, Gimli, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Nanu Gimli.
I wrote them in like 10 minutes flat this afternoon. I got home from the vets. I was like, shit, I haven't done the intros. Ah!
Did you have the snip?
No.
To be fair,
They said stop licking them.
Yes.
I know we went on